Hey everyone, how's it going? Cool. Today what I'm going to be doing is machining a little piece on the CNC router. It's a little impeller for a water pump I'm making. Here it is down here. As you can see it. This is the impeller here, the old one. I'm going to be making a new one, hopefully more efficient. This is my desk. As you can see, it's a little messed up. And in here we have the engine cupboard. All the engines I've made. I'll have to make separate videos on each of those another time. But for now, let's get right on and start machining. Here we have a new engine I'm making. This is going to be a Stirling engine. Now what I'm doing is the water pump. So I'll turn everything else off. So I've already made most of this, but I need to make a new impeller. These are all the lines I use for machining, and I've already done the programming, CAD-CAM. So I'm going to send that down to the machine, and we need to prepare some stock for it. It's going to be out of brass, so we need 5mm thick disc. So I didn't have any smaller pieces of brass to use, so I'm going to have to use this big hunk of brass rod and cut something out of there. Wow, looks like I was being a bit aggressive there. Well, not too bad, I'll just have to stick it down again and machine it a bit lighter next time. So I've stuck it down again and reprofiled it off camera. That worked fine. And I started machining the impeller blades with a 1.5mm carbide end mill. So now that I've finished machining the top side, I can just take it off with a bit of heat. There we go. And then I'll have to stick it down again, upside down, and machine the other side. So I finished machining the new impeller. You can see the difference. I'll bring them up close with the gap between the fins and also the curve on the fin. So hopefully that make it much more efficient. It looks like it should, but we'll see. Now I have to take this shaft out. Won't be too hard, it's just stuck in with Loctite. So a bit of heat and get that out. Gently tighten it up. And it pops off. Easy as that. Now all I need to do is put the needle in the new impeller. I'll press that in with a bit of Loctite and put the magnets in. The reason we have magnets is because we use them to turn the main impeller, because we don't have any dynamic seals in this pump. You can see here this is the pulley, and you have bearings there, and you can also see the 6 magnets around the rim, and the pulley goes onto this shaft on the main pump housing, and then in here we have a needle bearing where the needle or the impeller shaft goes in, which is stuck to the impeller. And the magnets in the impeller are attracted through the brass cover to the magnets in the pulley, so that when you rotate the pulley, the impeller rotates as well. And I'm just using the lathe to make sure I get everything concentric. So I'm going to put the cover in the chuck, and the needle goes in, and put a bit of Loctite on the needle, and now I just use the tailstock to gently push it on. There we go. And it's done. So the pump does work. It doesn't produce that much pressure though. I'm not sure if it will be strong enough for what I'm using it for, to pump water through the whole system of this car. You can see where it has to go from the outlet of the pump up into the engine, through all these U-pipes, around the cylinder and out again, and then into the radiator, and then it'll come down to the bottom of the radiator and then back into the pump. So there's quite a large path it has to travel, so I'm not sure if it will be strong enough. There's only one way to find out really, and that'll be just to test it when I've got all the car made. But if it's not, I think I might have to make a piston pump. It'll have more power and it'll be better suited for this engine. Here's the radiator I just soldered up. It's made out of all of these brass fins. You can see some leftover ones here. They're just stacked on top of each other on these brass tubes and soldered. It's a nice little radiator. You can see these tubes there, and the pump has to pump the hot water coming from the engine through those tubes so that it cools down before it goes back to the engine. So hopefully that all works out and the pump does have enough pressure to get it through those tubes. We have some of the brass U pipes that I've made. They take the water back and forth through the cylinder of the engine. So I bent these using a spring on the outside. I'm quite pleased with how they turned out. They're just soldered to the little tabs there, and they turned out pretty cool as well.